The envelope hits the marble countertop at 11:47 p.m. Kael doesn't pick it up immediately. His hands rest on his stomach, 7 months swollen beneath a cream-knit vest that costs more than most people earn in a month. The baby kicks. Hard. Like it knows something's wrong before he does. Riven stands across the kitchen island, perfectly still in a charcoal Tom Ford suit that hasn't wrinkled despite 12 hours of wear. His dark eyes track the envelope like it's a weapon. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan glitters 32 stories below, a galaxy of lights that used to make Kael feel safe. Tonight, nothing feels safe. "Open it," Riven says. His voice carries no anger. That's worse. Anger would mean emotion. This is calculation. Kael's fingers tremble as he breaks the wax seal. Red wax. Hand-delivered 2 hours ago by a man in a Brooks Brothers suit who smiled at the concierge and vanished into a black car with New Jersey plates. Inside, one photograph. "Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is." Kael's vision blurs. The photo shows a warehouse, corrugated metal walls, Maryland license plates visible on a truck in the background. And standing in the loading bay, clear as day under industrial lighting, is Saurin Vale. 22 years old. Quiet. The son of their housekeeper, who Kael practically raised after his mother started working here 6 years ago. The kid Kael helped enroll at a Connecticut community college. The one he bought a refurbished MacBook for last Christmas because Saurin said he wanted to learn graphic design. Saurin, who's supposed to be in his dorm tonight. Saurin, who's standing in a warehouse that Riven's intelligence network identified 3 months ago as a distribution point for Cassian Morrow's operation. Cassian Morrow, the rival who's been trying to crack Riven's East Coast network since last spring. The one who runs shipments through Maryland and Virginia, laundering money through luxury car dealerships in Florida and Texas. "I can explain," Kael starts. "Don't." Riven moves around the island. Not fast. Predators don't rush. "How long have you known?" "I didn't know. I swear I didn't." "How long has he been meeting with Morrow's people?" Kael's throat closes. The baby kicks again, harder this time, like it's trying to punch its way out. His doctor in Massachusetts said stress could trigger early labor. 7 months isn't viable for complications. Not with his medical history. Riven's hand cups Kael's face. Gentle, terrifying in its gentleness. "Breathe," Kael gasps. He hadn't realized he'd stopped. "I have a trip to California tomorrow," Riven says, stepping back. "Tech investment meeting in San Francisco. I'll be gone 4 days." Relief floods Kael's chest so fast it hurts. 4 days. 4 days to figure out what Saurin's doing. 4 days to fix this before Riven decides the kid is a liability that needs to be eliminated. "Okay," Kael whispers. Riven kisses his forehead. The Chanel cologne Kael bought him last month fills the space between them. Cedar and bergamot and something darker underneath. "Get some rest. The baby needs you calm." He leaves the kitchen. His footsteps fade down the hallway toward their bedroom. Kael hears the closet door open, the sound of a suitcase being pulled from the top shelf. Kael looks down at the photograph again. Saurin isn't looking at the camera. He's looking at someone outside the frame. His expression isn't guilty. It's terrified. The marble countertop feels cold under Kael's palms. The city lights blur again, but not from tears this time. From the reflection of something moving in the window. A shadow that shouldn't be there. Kael spins around. Empty kitchen. Just him and the envelope and the photograph of a boy who might be a traitor or might be something worse. Might be bait. His phone vibrates on the counter. Unknown number. A text message loads. The envelope was just the warning. The real proof comes tomorrow. Tell your alpha to check his California flight manifest. Someone on his team isn't going with him. Someone's staying behind. Ask yourself why. Kael's hands shake so hard he nearly drops the phone. Because if someone on Riven's security team is compromised, if there's an insider, then the trip to California isn't about business. It's about getting Riven away from New York, away from Kael, away from the baby. The phone vibrates again. Same number. We know about the medical records. We know about Massachusetts. We know what stress does to omega pregnancies at 7 months. How long do you think you'll last before your body decides it's safer to deliver early? How long before Riven comes home to a dead mate and a dead heir? Kael's knees buckle. He catches himself on the counter, stomach lurching, baby thrashing inside him like it knows, like it feels the danger through his blood. Down the hallway, Riven's suitcase zips shut. Kael deletes both messages. He doesn't know why he does it. Instinct. Self-preservation. The same reason prey animals freeze when they smell a predator, hoping stillness will save them when running won't. Riven appears in the doorway, suitcase in hand, looking every inch the businessman he pretends to be. Come to bed. Kael nods. Follows. Lets Riven pull him close in their California king bed with its Egyptian cotton sheets and view of the skyline that used to mean empire. Tonight, it looks like a cage made of light. Riven's breathing evens out after 20 minutes. Deep, steady, asleep. Kael stares at the ceiling and counts the baby's kicks. 53 before dawn. The envelope contained something that wasn't a threat. It was proof. But proof of what? Morning breaks over Manhattan like spilled gold across glass. Kael watches from the bed as Riven dresses in the walk-in closet. Crisp white Ralph Lauren shirt, navy slacks, leather belt that probably costs what Saurin's mother makes in 2 months. Every movement precise, efficient. The same way Riven dismantles business rivals, methodically, without wasted effort. The suitcase waits by the bedroom door. Black leather, expensive. Packed with 4 days of California-appropriate clothing Kael will never see his mate wear, because Riven isn't going to California. Kael knows this now. He figured it out somewhere around 4 a.m., lying awake while Riven slept beside him like a man with no concerns. Because that's what Riven does. He makes people believe the performance. Makes rivals think they've won until the moment their accounts empty and their shipments vanish and their protection networks collapse like houses built on sand. Riven's going to hunt whoever sent that envelope, and Kael's terrified of what he'll find. Coffee? Riven asks from the closet doorway, adjusting his cufflinks. Chrome hearts. Blackened silver shaped like tiny crosses. Decaf, Kael says automatically. 7 months pregnant means no caffeine, no alcohol, no sushi, no soft cheese, no fun. Massachusetts doctors made that very clear. Riven smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. I'll have some sent up. He crosses to the bed, leans down, presses his lips to Kael's forehead. The kiss lasts 3 seconds. Exactly long enough to seem affectionate. Exactly short enough to maintain distance. 4 days. Riven murmurs against Kael's skin. Then I'm back. Kael's hands curl into the duvet. White. Pristine. Like everything else in this penthouse that's designed to look clean while hiding blood. Be safe. Always am. Riven straightens, grabs the suitcase, walks out without looking back. Kael waits until the elevator dings in the foyer. Waits until the mechanical hum fades into silence. Then he rolls out of bed, ignoring the way his back screams in protest, and waddles to the window. 32 stories below, a black Tesla pulls up to the building entrance. Riven emerges through the gold-trimmed doors, suitcase in hand, every inch the tech investor heading to San Francisco for a legitimate meeting about venture capital and innovation. The Tesla door closes. The car doesn't turn toward the interstate. It heads east, toward the bridges, toward New Jersey, toward Maryland. Kael's reflection stares back at him in the glass. Silver gray eyes, messy hair, a body that used to be slender and graceful before pregnancy turned him into something swollen and ungainly. He looks like exactly what he is, an Omega who survived foster care in Maryland by learning when to run and when to freeze. Right now, every instinct screams run. His phone buzzes on the nightstand. He almost ignores it. Then he sees the caller ID, Saurin's mother, Imani. Kael swipes to answer. Hello? Is he there? Imani's voice cracks like broken pottery. Is Saurin with you? Ice floods Kael's veins. What? No, he's at school. He's not at school. He didn't come home last night. His roommate called me an hour ago. Said Saurin left yesterday afternoon and never came back. Said he looked scared. Imani's breathing turns ragged. What's happening? Why would he be scared? Did Mr. Caldero? No, Kael says too fast. Riven didn't do anything. Saurin's probably just... Don't lie to me. Imani's voice drops to something cold. I've worked in this house 6 years. I know what your mate does. I know the kind of men who visit this building at midnight. I know why we have security cameras in every hallway and panic buttons in every room. So don't you dare tell me my son is probably just anything. Kael's free hand presses against his stomach. The baby's quiet this morning. Too quiet. I'll find him. You can't even walk without waddling. How are you going to find anyone? The words hit like a slap. Not because they're cruel, because they're true. Kael's 7 months pregnant, barely mobile, and the father of his child is a Mafia boss currently hunting down a threat that might involve Imani's son. There's nothing Kael can do, except maybe there is. Where would Saurin go if he was in trouble? Kael asks. Besides home, besides school, where else? Silence on the other end. Then, there's a church in Maryland, near where I grew up before we moved to New Jersey. Saurin and I used to go there when he was little, before... Imani trails off. Before her husband died. Before she became a single mother working as a housekeeper for a syndicate boss to keep her son fed. What church? St. Augustine's. Baltimore. Why? Kael hangs up. He shouldn't. It's rude. But he doesn't have time for explanations or reassurances he can't give. He opens his laptop. A MacBook Pro Riven bought him last year after Kael mentioned his old one was dying. The browser history is clean because Riven's people scrub it every 48 hours as policy. But Kael knows how to use incognito mode. St. Augustine's Church, Baltimore, Maryland. The search loads. Red brick building. Gothic architecture. Located 3 blocks from a neighborhood that used to be middle class before the economic collapse turned it into something harder. And 2 streets over from the warehouse in the photograph. Kael's stomach lurches. Not from the baby this time. Because Saurin wasn't meeting Morrow's people randomly. He was meeting them close to a place that meant safety. A place Imani taught him to run to when everything else failed. Which means Saurin's not a traitor. He's a hostage. Or he's protecting something. The message from last night burns in Kael's memory. Tell your alpha to check his California flight manifest. Someone on his team isn't going with him. Kael opens a new tab. types in the secure portal for Riven's security team, the one Kael's supposed to use for emergencies only. Password autofills because Riven never thinks Kael will actually check. California trip. Manifest. 3 guards scheduled. Marcus, Jamal, Terrence. All 3 confirmed for the San Francisco flight, except the flight left JFK 45 minutes ago. And according to the passenger list, only 2 guards boarded. Marcus and Jamal. Terrence's seat is empty. Kael's hands tremble over the keyboard. He pulls up Terrence's file. Hired 8 months ago. Former military, clean background check. Worked New Jersey logistics before transferring to personal security. New Jersey, the same state where Morrow operates. The baby kicks. Hard enough to hurt. Kael's phone buzzes again. Different number this time. Another unknown. He shouldn't answer. He knows he shouldn't. He swipes anyway. No voice on the other end. Just breathing. Steady. Calm. Then, your mate thinks he's hunting us, but we've been hunting him since the day Terrence walked through your door. And the only reason you're still alive is because we need you breathing long enough to deliver that baby. After that, the voice drops to a whisper. After that, you're just leverage that talks too much. The line goes dead. Kael sits frozen on the edge of the bed, laptop screen glowing, Manhattan morning light streaming through windows that suddenly feel like they're showcasing him for a sniper. The message isn't about Saurin. It's about the baby. It always was. But why would Morrow's people want Riven's child? What good is an infant to a rival syndicate unless they're not planning to kill Riven? They're planning to replace him. Raise the heir as their own. Control the empire through the next generation. Turn Riven's legacy into Morrow's puppet. And Kael's the incubator they need alive just long enough to deliver. The Maryland warehouse smells like rust and diesel fuel. Riven stands in shadow 30 feet from the loading bay, watching through a gap in the corrugated metal siding. His Tom Ford suit jacket is gone, rolled up in the Tesla trunk, along with the pretense of California. Now it's just him in a white dress shirt with sleeves rolled to his elbows and a shoulder holster most people would never notice under the right angle of fabric, inside the warehouse. Saurin Vale argues with a man wearing Gucci loafers that cost more than the building they're standing in. Riven recognizes the loafers before he recognizes the face. Cassian Morrow, 6'2", slicked back hair. A smile that belongs on a corporate recruiting poster. Not a man who moves cocaine through Florida and guns through Texas under the cover of luxury car dealerships. You think this is negotiable? Cassian's voice echoes off metal walls. You think you get to bargain? Saurin doesn't back down. 22 years old, wearing a Target hoodie and jeans that have seen better days, and he doesn't back down. I told you, leave him out of this. You want information about Caldero's network? Fine. But you don't touch Kael. You don't go near him. You don't even mention his name. Cassian laughs. It's the kind of laugh that happens right before someone gets hurt. The Omega's already involved, kid. Has been since the moment Caldero put a baby in him. You think that child's just an heir? It's a replacement. A future boss we can raise properly. Without Caldero's restraint. Saurin's hands ball into fists. You're insane. I'm strategic. Cassian circles him like a shark. 7 months pregnant. Medical records show complications from his Omega biology. Stress triggers early labor. So here's what happens. We leak those records. Make it look like Kael's unstable. Make the syndicate question whether Caldero's judgment is compromised because he mated someone fragile. Then we apply pressure. Publicize the pregnancy. Force media attention. And when Kael's body decides it can't handle the stress anymore and delivers early, Cassian shrugs. We're there, ready to provide protection, ready to raise that child as our own. Over my dead body. That's always an option. Riven's jaw tightens. He should move, should end this now. But something holds him back. The same instinct that built an empire by watching before striking. Because Saurin's not pleading for his own life. He's negotiating for Kael's. Which means the kid isn't a traitor. He's a shield. What do you want? Saurin asks, voice steady despite the fear Riven can see in his posture. Shoulders tight, weight on his back foot, ready to bolt. I want you to testify, Cassian says. Public statement, on record, saying Kael's pregnancy is endangering the syndicate's stability, that Caldero's distracted, that the network's vulnerable. Then I want you to disappear for 48 hours while we move on the empire. When it's over, when we control Caldero's assets and his heir, you get to live. Your mother gets to keep working. And Kael. Cassian smiles. Kael gets to raise his baby under our protection. Safe, comfortable, as long as he cooperates. And if I refuse? Then we leak the records anyway. We apply the pressure anyway. But this time, when Kael goes into early labor from the stress, there's no protection. Just exposure. Just a very public miscarriage that destroys Caldero's reputation and eliminates the heir before we can secure it. Either way, we win. You're just choosing whether anyone survives the process. Saurin's breathing turns sharp, visible even from 30 feet away. Riven's phone vibrates in his pocket. He ignores it. Some 30 seconds later, it vibrates again, then again, insistent. He pulls it out without taking his eyes off the warehouse. Text from Marcus. Sir, Kael just accessed the security portal. He knows about Terrence. Riven's blood goes cold. Second text. He's trying to book a car to Maryland. I blocked it through our network, but if he uses a civilian service. Third text. Sir, he's gone. Building security says he walked out 10 minutes ago, wearing a coat over his vest. He's 7 months pregnant and alone in Manhattan, and we can't track him because he left his phone on the nightstand. Every tactical advantage Riven built over the past 12 hours collapses because Kael's not safe in the penthouse anymore. He's out there, exposed. He's hunting for answers or running from threats or doing something stupidly brave that's going to get him killed. Inside the warehouse, Cassian checks his watch. You've got 30 seconds to decide. Testify and live or refuse and watch everyone you care about burn. Saurin's voice comes out broken. If I do this, you swear Kael and the baby stay safe? I swear. Liars always sound sincere. Saurin nods. Okay, you'll do nothing. Riven steps into the loading bay. The temperature drops 10 degrees. Cassian's smile falters. You're supposed to be in California. I don't do what I'm supposed to do. Riven walks forward, not fast. Calm, every step measured like a countdown. I do what's necessary. Your Omega is none of your concern. He's alone right now, unprotected. 7 months pregnant and wandering Manhattan without security. Anything could happen. A fall, a car, a very concerned citizen who recognizes him from the society pages and decides to ask invasive questions that trigger exactly the kind of stress his doctors warned against. Cassian's smile returns. I'm not the only threat he's facing today. Riven stops 3 feet away, close enough to see the sweat forming at Cassian's temples despite the cold warehouse air. You're not a threat. You're a mistake I'm about to correct. You can't kill me. Not here. Not with witnesses. Not when it would confirm every rumor about your methods and destroy the legitimate empire you've built. I don't need to kill you. Riven pulls out his phone. 3 calls. Each one lasts less than 10 seconds. First call. Shut down the Texas dealerships. Freeze all accounts. Second call. Seize the Florida shipments. Contact state police. Anonymous tip about vehicle fraud. Third call. Audit the Illinois holdings. I want every property flagged for code violations by end of day. He hangs up. Looks at Cassian. Your operation runs on credit and timing. You've got 48 hours before your suppliers realize you can't pay. 72 before your distribution network finds new partners. A week before your own people sell you out for immunity deals. Cassian's face drains of color. You can't. I just did. The medical records, we'll still leak them. Go ahead. Riven steps closer. Leak records about an Omega pregnancy. Watch how fast public sympathy turns against you for targeting an expectant mate. Watch how fast your remaining allies distance themselves from someone who declared war on a family over a baby. You think you were applying pressure? You just gave me permission to destroy you and look like the hero protecting his pregnant partner. The math shifts behind Cassian's eyes. Riven can see it happen, the moment a predator realizes he's prey. This isn't over, Cassian says. Yes, it is. Riven turns to Saurin. The kid looks like he might pass out. How long have you been meeting with him? 3 weeks, since they first contacted me. They said they'd hurt my mom if I didn't cooperate. Hurt Kael. They knew about the pregnancy before it was public. Knew about the Massachusetts appointments. I thought if I could negotiate, if I could stall long enough, you thought you could fix this alone. I thought you'd kill me if you knew. Riven's expression doesn't change. I still might. Saurin flinches. But not today. Riven pulls out his phone again. Another call. Marcus, find Kael. Now. I don't care if you have to lock down every camera between here and Connecticut. Find him and bring him somewhere safe until I get back. He hangs up. Looks at Cassian one last time. You've got an hour before my people start collecting evidence. I suggest you run. Maybe you'll make it to a state without extradition treaties. Maybe you'll disappear into whatever hole people like you crawl into when the empire collapses. Or maybe... Riven's voice drops to something cold enough to frost glass. Maybe you'll realize that threatening my family was the last mistake you get to make. He walks out of the warehouse. Saurin follows, stumbling, half in shock. The Tesla waits 30 feet away. Engine running. Marcus behind the wheel. Riven's phone buzzes before he reaches the car. Text from an unknown number. Kael never left Manhattan. Check the church, St. Augustine's. But St. Augustine's is in Baltimore, Maryland, 2 streets from this warehouse. Riven looks up at the building across the street. Red brick, Gothic architecture, a cross visible on the peaked roof, the church Saurin's mother used to take him to as a child. The door opens. Kael steps out, 7 months pregnant, wearing an oversized coat that doesn't hide the swell of his stomach. Hair disheveled, her face pale, eyes wild with fear and determination, and something Riven recognizes from their first meeting years ago in a Maryland foster care parking lot. Survival instinct. I took an Uber, Kael says, voice shaking. Imani told me about the church. I figured if Saurin was in trouble, he'd go somewhere that felt safe. And if you were hunting whoever sent the envelope, you'd end up at the same place. So His voice cracks. I came here because I knew you'd lie to me. I knew you weren't going to California. And I knew if I stayed in that penthouse alone, whoever's trying to hurt us would come for me while you were gone. So I ran toward the danger instead of away from it, because at least here I'd be close enough to you to... He stops. His hand flies to his stomach. His face drains of every shade of color. Kael? Riven moves forward. Something's wrong. Kael's breathing turns sharp. The baby, it's not kicking. It was kicking all morning and now... His knees buckle. Riven catches him before he hits the pavement. Get the car, he shouts at Marcus. Now! Kael's hands clutch at Riven's shirt. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought if I just... Stop talking. Save your energy. The baby's not moving. The baby's fine. You're fine. We're 10 minutes from a hospital. No. Kael's voice breaks. Not a hospital. They'll have cameras. Media. If anyone sees me like this, if the stress triggers labor early, if the medical records get leaked while I'm vulnerable... He's right. Cassian might be neutralized, but his network isn't. One photo of Kael being rushed to an emergency room 7 months pregnant would light up every news feed from New York to Texas. Show exactly the kind of exposure that would make stress-induced labor a certainty. Where? Riven demands. Marcus pulls the Tesla up. There's a private clinic, 20 minutes north. No press, no questions. Dr. Okonkwo runs it. She handles syndicate medical issues off the books. Drive. Riven lifts Kael into the back seat. The Omega's breathing is ragged now, hands pressed against his stomach like he can will the baby to move through sheer force. Saurin climbs into the passenger seat. Is he? Be quiet. The car peels away from the church. Riven keeps one hand on Kael's stomach, the other on his mate's face, tilting it toward him. Look at me. Stay with me. I can't feel the baby. Because you're panicking. Your adrenaline is through the roof. The baby's probably fine, but your body's in fight or flight and... Kael gasps. His hand flies to the right side of his stomach. There, he whispers. I felt it. Just once. Small. But it moved. Relief floods Riven's chest so fast it physically hurts. Okay, good. That's good. Don't lie to me again. Kael's silver-gray eyes lock onto his. Don't pretend you're leaving when you're hunting. Don't shut me out of danger I'm already in the middle of. If we're going to survive this, if our baby's going to survive, I need to know what you're doing. I need to be part of the plan, not protected from it. You're 7 months pregnant, and I just tracked you to a warehouse standoff because I'm not an idiot. I know what you do. I know who you are. And I chose you anyway. So stop treating me like glass and start treating me like your partner. The car hits a pothole. Kael winces. His hand tightens over Riven's. The baby kicks again. Stronger this time. Okay, Riven says quietly. No more lies. No more lies, Kael repeats. But even as the promise leaves his lips, even as the clinic comes into view 20 minutes later, even as Dr. Okonkwo rushes them inside and confirms the baby's heartbeat is strong and stable, Riven knows the real threat isn't neutralized. Because Terrence never boarded the California flight, which means he's still in New York, still in the building, still close enough to Kael's penthouse to access the one thing Riven locked in the safe yesterday before staging the trip. The medical records Cassian wanted to leak. The clinic smells like antiseptic and lavender. Kael lies on an exam table with paper crinkling beneath him every time he breathes. Dr. Okonkwo, a woman in her 50s with steady hands and a no-nonsense expression, presses a Doppler wand against his stomach. The sound of the baby's heartbeat fills the room like drums. Fast, strong, alive. 148 beats per minute, Dr. Okonkwo says. That's perfect for 7 months. No signs of distress. Kael exhales so hard his whole body sags into the table. But I couldn't feel it moving. Because you flooded your system with adrenaline. When you panic, your body redirects blood flow to major organs. The baby probably was moving, just smaller movements you couldn't register through the stress response. She pulls the wand away, wiping gel off Kael's stomach with clinical efficiency. What triggered this? Kael looks at Riven. Riven looks at the door. Understood, Dr. Okonkwo says dryly. The usual syndicate nonsense. Well, here's what I'm telling you both. Stress like this again, and you will trigger early labor. Not might. Will. This baby's viable at 7 months, but barely. You want to give your child the best chance? Stop running into danger. Stop lying to each other. And for the love of everything holy, stop treating pregnancy like it's a secondary concern when people are actively trying to destabilize your empire. She looks at Riven. That includes you. Mate biology means his stress is your stress. His fear is your fear. You can't compartmentalize this. Noted, Riven says. I'm serious. Another panic attack like today? We're looking at premature rupture of membranes, emergency C-section, NICU stay. Do you understand what I'm saying? Kael's hand finds Riven's, squeezes. We understand. Dr. Okonkwo doesn't look convinced. I'm keeping you here for observation. 4 hours minimum. Let your blood pressure stabilize. Make sure the baby's movement patterns return to normal. Then you go home, you rest, and you let your mate handle whatever war he's currently fighting without you in the middle of it. She leaves. The exam room goes quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights overhead. Saurin sits in the corner, knees pulled to his chest, looking smaller than 22 years should allow. This is my fault. No, it's not, Kael says. I should have told you about Cassian from the start. You were protecting me. That's not fault. That's loyalty. Kael shifts on the table, trying to find a comfortable position that doesn't exist when you're 7 months pregnant. What I don't understand is how Cassian knew about the medical records. Those files are encrypted, stored on secure servers. Only Riven's inner circle has access. Riven's jaw tightens. Terrence. You said he didn't board the California flight. He didn't, which means he's still in New York, still has building access, still... Riven stops, pulls out his phone. 3 missed calls from Marcus. He returns it. Marcus answers on the first ring. Sir, we have a problem. Define problem. The penthouse safe was opened 20 minutes ago. Building security footage shows Terrence entering at 10:15 a.m. using his master keycard. He was inside for 8 minutes. When he left, he was carrying a leather portfolio we traced to your private office. Ice floods Riven's veins. What was in that portfolio? According to your inventory logs? Kael's medical records from Massachusetts. The complete file including the high-risk pregnancy designation and stress sensitivity warnings. Kael's face goes white. He's going to leak them. Not yet, Riven says. If he wanted to leak them, he'd have done it already. He's holding them as insurance, leverage for whatever deal he's making with Cassian. Or he's waiting for the right moment. Maximum impact. Saurin uncurls from his corner position. Cassian's whole plan revolved around timing. Leak the records, apply public pressure, force Kael's body to react. If Terrence waits until the syndicate's already questioning your judgment, until there's already whispers about whether you're too distracted by the pregnancy to lead, then the medical records become confirmation instead of accusation. He's right. Riven knows he's right. Cassian's financial empire might be collapsing, But information warfare doesn't require money. Just one upload to the right media outlet. One anonymous tip to a journalist looking for a story about syndicate instability. One carefully worded leak suggesting that Riven Caldero's pregnant Omega mate is a liability the organization can't afford. Can you trace Terrence? Kael asks. Already on it, Riven says. But he's had training, former military. He knows how to disappear. He looks at Marcus through the phone. Lock down the building. Change every access code. I want a new security team assembled by tonight. People with zero connection to New Jersey networks. And I want surveillance on every media outlet from here to Connecticut. The second anyone tries to upload those files, I want to know. Done. Marcus hesitates. Sir, there's something else. What? The security footage shows Terrence wasn't alone. Someone was waiting for him in the lobby. They left together. We're running facial recognition now, but the angle's bad, and he was wearing a hat. Send me the footage. 30 seconds later, Riven's phone lights up with a video file. Grainy, black and white. Shot from a ceiling camera that catches Terrence exiting the elevator with the leather portfolio under his arm. A figure in a baseball cap meets him near the entrance. They talk for less than a minute. Then both walk out together. The figure in the cap turns slightly at the door, just enough for the camera to catch half a profile. Kael leans over to look. His breath catches. That's Cassian. Can't be, Riven says. I left him in Maryland 45 minutes ago. There's no way he made it back to Manhattan that fast. Then he was never in Maryland to begin with. Saurin's voice goes flat. The warehouse meeting, that was a decoy. Cassian sent someone who looks like him to keep you distracted while the real move happened here. In your building. In your home. The math shifts. Riven's been outplayed. Not by superior force. Not by better resources. By misdirection. While Riven was hunting a threat in Maryland, the real threat was stealing ammunition from his own safe. He knew you'd come for him, Kael says quietly. He knew you'd pretend to leave for California but actually drive to the warehouse. He counted on it. Used it. And now he has exactly what he needs to destroy us publicly, while you can't retaliate without looking like the aggressor. Riven's hand tightens around his phone hard enough the screen nearly cracks. He made one mistake. What? He assumed I'd care about looking like the aggressor. Kael's eyes widen. Riven. They took my mate's medical records, threatened my unborn child, infiltrated my security team. If I respond with restraint now, every rival from Florida to Illinois will see it as weakness. They'll smell blood. They'll move on us thinking we're vulnerable. Riven stands. So we don't respond with restraint. What are you going to do? I'm going to make Cassian Morrow wish he'd stayed in whatever hole he crawled out of. Dr. Okonkwo opens the door. Your 4 hours aren't up. We're leaving, Riven says. That's medically inadvisable. Noted in the file. Riven helps Kael sit up. We're going home, under guard, with a new security team. And if anyone tries to approach us, press, rivals, concerned citizens, they'll deal with me first. This is exactly the kind of stress I warned you about, Dr. Okonkwo says. I know. Riven's voice softens when he looks at Kael. Which is why my mate is going to rest while I handle this. No more running into danger. No more tracking me to warehouses. You stay in the penthouse with guards at every entrance, and you let me do what I do best. Which is? Dismantle threats. Kael wants to argue. Riven can see it in his face. The same stubborn independence that made him survive foster care. The same fierce protectiveness that drove him to Maryland despite being 7 months pregnant. But the baby kicks, hard enough to visibly move Kael's stomach through his shirt, and the fear in Kael's eyes shifts to something else. Calculation. Okay, Kael says. I'll stay home, I'll rest. But you promised me something. What? You bring Saurin's mother to the penthouse. Keep her safe. Because if Cassian realizes Saurin double-crossed him, Imani becomes a target. And I'm not letting anyone else get hurt because of me. Riven nods. Done. They leave the clinic through a back exit. The Tesla waits with Marcus and 2 new guards. Riven doesn't recognize, but who wear the kind of stillness that comes from special forces training. They don't speak. Don't ask questions. Just create a perimeter that moves with Kael as he walks to the car. Saurin climbs in beside him. I should go with my mom. No, Riven says. You stay with us. You're officially under protection now. Cassian knows you talked. That makes you a loose end he'll want to tie up. I can handle myself. You're 22 and untrained. You handled yourself admirably in that warehouse, but against professional operators? Riven's expression leaves no room for argument. You stay close. You stay alive. Understood? Saurin nods. The drive back to Manhattan takes 30 minutes. Every second feels like an hour. Kael watches the city pass through tinted windows, buildings and bridges, and the kind of afternoon light that makes New York look almost peaceful from a distance. Up close, nothing's peaceful. Up close, there's a war happening in boardrooms and back alleys, fought with leaked files and strategic bankruptcies instead of bullets. But the casualties are just as real. Riven's phone buzzes. He checks it. His expression goes dark. What? Kael asks. Cassian just posted on a private syndicate forum. Anonymous account, but we traced it. He's claiming I've become compromised. That my judgment is impaired due to personal attachments. That the Empire needs new leadership before my emotional instability causes operational collapse. Riven's voice stays level, but Kael can hear the rage underneath. He's setting the stage, planting seeds, so when the medical records leak, when the public sees evidence of a high-risk Omega pregnancy causing stress, it looks like proof instead of attack. How long before he leaks them? Hours, maybe less. Kael's hand moves to his stomach. The baby's still now, quiet, like it knows the danger hasn't passed. What if we leak them first? Saurin says. Everyone looks at him. What if you control the narrative? Saurin continues. Release the medical records yourself. Frame it as transparency. Show that you're not hiding anything. That Kael's pregnancy is high risk but managed. That you've taken every precaution. That accusations of instability are just rival propaganda trying to exploit a family matter for political gain. He looks at Kael. People sympathize with pregnant Omegas, especially ones being targeted by powerful enemies. You leak the records with the right framing, and suddenly Cassian's not exposing weakness. He's attacking a vulnerable family. Public opinion shifts. The syndicate sees you protecting your mate instead of being compromised by him. Silence. Then Riven smiles. It's not a kind smile. That's actually brilliant, he says. Kael's stomach lurches. When you want to make my medical history public? I want to make it irrelevant. If we leak first, we control the story. We show strength through transparency, and we turn Cassian's weapon into evidence of his cruelty. Riven looks at Marcus. Contact our media people. I want a press release drafted in the next hour. Full disclosure about the pregnancy, the medical precautions, and the recent threats we've faced from rival organizations attempting to exploit a private family matter for strategic gain. Frame it as a warning. Anyone who targets our family will face consequences. On it, Marcus says. The Tesla pulls up to the building. New guards surround the entrance, 6 of them, all wearing the kind of focused awareness that makes civilians instinctively step aside. They escort Kael inside like he's made of glass, which he might be. 7 months pregnant, carrying the heir to an empire built on precision and fear, targeted by rivals who see his body as a battlefield. The elevator rises 32 floors in silence. The penthouse doors open. Everything looks exactly the same as when Kael left this morning. Marble counters, floor-to-ceiling windows. The envelope still sitting where he left it. Photograph of Saurin visible through the torn seal. But something feels different. Kael can't identify what. Just a sensation. Like the air pressure shifted while they were gone. "Stay here," Riven says, hand moving toward the shoulder holster hidden under his jacket. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Probably, but..." A sound from the bedroom, soft, rhythmic. Someone's inside. The guards move instantly, forming a wall between Kael and the hallway. Riven draws his weapon, a compact Glock that looks almost delicate in his hands despite being designed to kill. He moves down the hallway. Kael holds his breath. The bedroom door opens. Terrence steps out, hands raised, empty, no weapon visible. Just a man who looks tired and scared, and nothing like the trained operator he's supposed to be. "Don't shoot," Terrence says. "I'm here to warn you." "Warn us about what?" Riven's voice could freeze nitrogen. "The files you stole, the partnership with Cassian, the infiltration you've been running for months." "I didn't steal the files. I secured them." Terrence lowers his hands slowly. "Cassian's network found out about the pregnancy 3 months ago. They've had someone inside this building since before I was hired. Someone with access you'd never suspect. I took the files from the safe because leaving them there meant leaving them vulnerable. I was supposed to deliver them to Cassian this morning. I was supposed to complete the mission. But then I saw..." He stops. "I saw what he's planning to do with them. And I couldn't. Why should I believe you? Because I'm standing here unarmed when I could have run. Because I could have leaked those files a dozen times already, but didn't. And because..." Terrence pulls something from his pocket. A flash drive. "I brought you proof of who the real mole is." He tosses it to Riven. Riven catches it one-handed, weapon never wavering. "Who?" "Your head of security," Terrence says. "Marcus." The world stops. Kael's vision tunnels. Marcus. The man who's been coordinating their protection for 2 years. The one Riven trusts to vet new hires. The one who arranged the clinic visit today. The one who's currently standing in the living room with full access to Kael. Behind them, Marcus laughs. "Took you long enough," Marcus says. Kael turns. Marcus holds a phone, screen lit, finger hovering over a button. "That's the upload trigger," Marcus says calmly. "Medical records, already formatted for media release. All I have to do is press send, and every news outlet from New York to Texas gets the story of how Riven Caldero's Omega mate is too unstable to carry a pregnancy to term. How the stress of being bonded to a syndicate leader is actively endangering his child. How Caldero's judgment is so compromised by emotion that he's making strategic errors, trusting the wrong people, becoming a liability his own organization can't afford. "You leak those records and you're a dead man," Riven says. "Maybe, but you'll be a destroyed one. Your empire will fracture. Your allies will abandon you. And your mate?" Marcus looks at Kael. Your mate will deliver that baby under so much scrutiny and pressure that even if he survives, the child becomes syndicate property, raised by committee, controlled by whoever seizes power in the vacuum you leave behind. Kael's legs threaten to give out. The baby kicks. Once. Hard. Like it's fighting. What do you want? Riven asks. Marcus smiles. I want to watch you choose. Protect your mate's privacy or protect your empire. Save Kael's dignity or save your reputation. You can't have both. So what's it going to be, boss? Time moves like honey dripping from a spoon. Kael can see everything with crystal clarity. Marcus's finger hovering over the phone screen, the guards frozen between conflicting orders, Terrence still holding his hands up like surrender will save him. Riven's weapon aimed steady at Marcus's center mass. And through it all, the baby kicks. Not frantic, not panicked, just alive. Reminding Kael that whatever happens in the next 60 seconds will define whether that life continues safely or becomes a pawn in a war that started before it was even born. You have 10 seconds to lower that phone, Riven says. His voice carries no emotion. That's how Kael knows he's calculating murder. Or what? Marcus asks. You'll shoot me? In your own home? In front of witnesses? With your pregnant mate watching? The optics alone would destroy you faster than any leaked file. He tilts his head. See, that's always been your weakness, Caldero. You built an empire on precision, but you compromised it the moment you mated someone vulnerable. Love makes you weak, and weakness is exactly what men like Cassian exploit. Cassian's finished, Riven says. Cassian's a symptom. The real disease is you thinking you could have both, the power and the family. You can't. Every syndicate leader learns that eventually. You either protect the empire or protect the people you love. There's no middle ground, no compromise. So choose. Kael's breath comes short, his medical records flashing through his mind like a countdown. High-risk pregnancy, stress-induced complications, 7 months viable but barely, Omega biology making everything more fragile than it should be. If those records leak, the scrutiny will be immediate. Media, rivals, internal syndicate politics, questioning whether Riven's distracted, whether his judgment is compromised, whether the organization needs new leadership before his emotional attachments cause operational collapse. And the stress of that scrutiny will trigger exactly what the records warn against: early labor, emergency delivery. A baby fighting for life in a NICU while Kael's body tears itself apart from complications. No amount of medical intervention can fully prevent, because Omega pregnancies are miracles and disasters in equal measure. Don't do this, Kael says. His voice comes out steady despite the terror. Please, Marcus. You've protected us for 2 years. You know us. You know what this will do. I know exactly what this will do. That's why I'm doing it. Marcus's expression doesn't shift. You think I want to? You think I enjoy destroying a family? I don't. But Cassian offered me a choice. Betray you or watch my sister die. He's got her in a Florida holding facility. Leverage, insurance. So yeah, I'm pressing this button. And I'm sorry. But between your baby and my sister, I'm choosing blood. Riven's weapon doesn't move. Where in Florida? Doesn't matter. You'll never reach her in time. Give me the location and I'll get her out. Marcus laughs, bitter, broken. You really think I trust you to prioritize my family over yours? The second I give you that information, you'll use it as bait. Trade her location for the files. Make me the villain who sacrificed his sister for loyalty. No. This is happening. Press release goes out in 5 seconds. And when it does, when the world sees those medical records and starts asking questions, when the stress triggers Kael into early labor, he looks directly at Kael. I hope your baby survives. I really do. But hope isn't the same as certainty. And certainty is all Cassian promised me. 3 seconds left. Kael's hands move to his stomach. The baby kicks again, stronger, like it's telling him, fight. Wait, Kael says. Everyone looks at him. You want leverage? Kael's voice strengthens. You want insurance Riven won't retaliate? Fine, take me. Kael. Riven's weapon falters for the first time. Think about it, Kael continues, talking fast before anyone can stop him. You leak the files. You get short-term victory but long-term exposure. Riven will hunt you forever. He'll dismantle everything you care about piece by piece until you're begging for death. But if you take me instead, if you use me as collateral for your sister's safety, you get permanent leverage. He can't move against you without risking me. He can't retaliate without endangering his mate and his child. You hold all the cards as long as I'm your hostage. Marcus stares. You're offering yourself? I'm offering a trade. Me for your sister. Both families safe. No files leaked. No public scrutiny. No stress-induced complications that could kill my baby. Everyone walks away alive. Kael steps forward despite every guard's instinct to stop him. But you have to decide now. Because if you press that button, if those files go public, you lose your only bargaining chip. Riven will come for you anyway. And he'll do it without mercy. The silence stretches. Marcus's finger trembles over the screen. Then, he lowers the phone. Okay, Marcus says quietly. Trade. No, Riven says. Absolutely not. Kael, you can't. I already did. Kael doesn't look at his mate. Can't. Because if he sees the fear in Riven's eyes, he'll lose his nerve. Marcus takes me somewhere safe. Somewhere Cassian's people are holding his sister. We make the exchange. Everyone goes home. And you... Now Kael does look at Riven. You finish what you started. You dismantle Cassian's network. You protect the Empire. And when it's over, when the threat's neutralized, you come get me. You're 7 months pregnant. Which is exactly why this works. I'm too valuable to hurt. Too useful as leverage to waste. Marcus knows that. Cassian knows that. They need me alive and healthy if they want to keep Riven contained. Now, so I'm safer as a hostage than I am here waiting for those files to leak. The logic is sound. Kael can see it register on Riven's face. The terrible math of strategy over emotion. Marcus picks up the phone again. Not to press send, to make a call. I need transport, he says into the receiver. Private, 2 passengers, destination Florida, and I need confirmation the asset is still secure. Pause. Good. Prepare for exchange. Hostage for hostage. Clean trade. No complications. He hangs up, looks at Kael. You've got 5 minutes to pack whatever you need. Medical supplies, comfortable clothes, anything that helps keep you calm because I'm not delivering you to Cassian in labor. That's not the deal. Kael nods, starts toward the bedroom. Riven catches his arm. This is insane. This is necessary. Kael places his hand over Riven's. You taught me that. Sometimes the only way to win is to sacrifice the piece everyone thinks you can't afford to lose. I'm that piece. But I'm not actually being lost. I'm being repositioned. And when this is over, when you've destroyed Cassian's operation and secured Marcus's sister and neutralized every threat, his voice drops to a whisper. Come find me, because I'll be waiting. If anything happens to you, nothing will happen to me. I'm too important. That's the point. Kael leans up, kisses Riven hard and fast. Then he pulls away before the emotion can break him. Trust me, like I'm trusting you. He walks to the bedroom, packs a bag with shaking hands, medical paperwork, prenatal vitamins, comfortable clothes, the cashmere blanket Riven bought him 3 months ago that smells like cedar and bergamot and safety. When Kael emerges, Marcus is waiting by the door. Riven stands 10 feet away, weapon holstered now, looking like every restraint he's built over years of empire building is seconds from shattering. 4 hours, Marcus says. That's how long the flight takes. Then another hour to the facility. 5 hours total before the exchange. Your people can track the plane, but if they interfere, if they try anything, the deal's off and the files go public. Riven's jaw tightens. If he's harmed, he won't be. I'm not an animal. Just a man trying to save his sister. Marcus opens the door. Let's go. Kael walks toward it. Every step feels like pulling against gravity. The guards don't stop him. Riven gave no order to intervene, so they just watch as a 7-month pregnant Omega walks out of a penthouse with the man who betrayed them. Trading himself for leverage in a game that shouldn't include unborn children, but does because this is the world they live in. The elevator doors close. Marcus presses the button for the ground floor. For what it's worth, Marcus says quietly, I am sorry. You should be, Kael replies. The elevator descends, 32 floors in silence. When the doors open, a black SUV waits at the curb. Marcus guides Kael inside. The interior smells like leather and air freshener, and the kind of careful neutrality that comes from vehicles designed for covert transport. A driver Kael doesn't recognize pulls away from the building. Through the tinted windows, Kael watches New York blur past. His phone buzzes in his pocket. Text from Riven. I'm coming for you. Kael types back with trembling hands. I know. The SUV merges onto the highway heading south, toward the airport, toward Florida, toward a facility holding Marcus's sister and whatever security Cassian's people arranged. The baby kicks. Kael presses his hand against his stomach. I know, he whispers. I'm scared too. His phone buzzes again. Different number. Unknown. He shouldn't open it. Opens it anyway. Text message. You just made the stupidest decision of your life. But don't worry. When your mate comes looking for you, when he walks into the trap we've spent 3 months building around that Florida facility, we'll make sure you watch him die before we take the baby. Kael's blood turns to ice. Because he didn't save anyone. He just delivered himself and Riven straight into an ambush. And Marcus, sitting beside him in the SUV, it's staring out the window with an expression that might be guilt or might be something else. Marcus knew. He knew the whole time. The Florida facility isn't a rescue. It's an execution site. And Kael just volunteered to be bait. The plane hits turbulence over Georgia and Kael's water breaks. Not dramatically. Not like the movies. Just a warm rush that soaks through his sweatpants and onto the leather seat of the private jet while Marcus is in the cockpit talking to the pilot. Kael stares down at the wetness spreading across expensive upholstery and thinks, this is how I die. 7 months. 28 weeks. The baby's lungs aren't fully developed. The survival rate hovers somewhere around 90% if there's immediate medical intervention. But they're 30,000 feet in the air over the American South, with 2 hours left until Florida and no NICU equipment on board. The first contraction hits like a fist to the spine. Kael doubles over, gasping, hands clutching his stomach as the baby shifts, moves, presses down with a weight that shouldn't exist yet. His body wasn't supposed to do this for another 2 months. Wasn't supposed to decide that danger equals delivery, that stress overrides biology, that survival means ejecting the thing you're trying to protect. "Marcus!" Kael's voice comes out strangled. The cockpit door opens. Marcus takes one look at the seat, the wetness, the way Kael's breathing has gone sharp and shallow, and goes pale. "No," Marcus says. "No, not yet. You can't. We're not ready. Tell that to my body." Another contraction. Stronger. Kael counts the seconds. 32. Too long. Too intense. His doctor in Massachusetts said early labor contractions should be mild, manageable. These feel like his insides are being wrung out. Marcus grabs his phone, dials. "We have a medical emergency. Omega in premature labor at 28 weeks. I need a hospital on standby the moment we land." Pause. "I don't care about the plan. Change it. The hostage is delivering." Longer pause. Marcus's face goes from pale to gray. "Understood." He hangs up. Looks at Kael with an expression that might be pity or might be fear. "What did they say?" Kael asks. "They said if you deliver on this plane, we're to proceed as planned. Take the baby to the facility. Use it as leverage against Caldero instead of you. Ice floods every nerve. You're not taking my baby. I don't want to, but I don't have a choice. My sister. Your sister's already dead." The words come out flat. Certain. Because Kael figured it out somewhere over Virginia, between contractions and terror. Cassian wouldn't keep her alive this long. She's leverage that expires the moment you deliver me. So she's either already dead, or she's about to be the second we land. Either way, you're not saving her. You're just helping them destroy us. Marcus's hands shake. "You don't know that. I know Cassian. I know how men like him operate. Riven taught me." Another contraction. Kael bites down on his lip hard enough to taste blood. "Your sister died the moment she became useful, and you're about to kill my baby for nothing." The pilot's voice crackles over the intercom. "We're beginning our descent into Fort Lauderdale. ETA 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Kael's contractions are 4 minutes apart. The math doesn't work. Marcus drops into the seat across from him, buries his face in his hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought if I cooperated, if I did everything they asked." "You thought wrong." Kael's voice hardens despite the pain radiating through his pelvis. "So here's what happens now. You radio ahead. You tell them I'm in active labor. You demand immediate hospital transport. And you pray Riven's people are tracking this plane, because if they're not, if he doesn't know where I am..." The next contraction steals his breath. "If he doesn't know, then we both die here. Me from complications. You from his retaliation." Marcus lifts his head. "He'll kill me anyway. Not if you help me. Not if you choose right now to stop being Cassian's puppet and start being someone who deserves to walk away from this." Kael leans forward as much as his contracting body allows. "Call him. Call Riven. Tell him where we're landing. Tell him about the facility. Give him everything. And maybe, you live long enough to find out if your sister's still alive." Silence except for the drone of engines and Kael's ragged breathing. Marcus pulls out his phone. Dials a number Kael recognizes. Riven's personal line. It rings once. "You have 10 seconds before I trace this call and turn you into a case study in creative execution." Riven's voice comes through cold enough to freeze jet fuel. "Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport. Marcus says fast. Private hangar. Kael's in labor. 28 weeks. They're taking him to a facility 15 miles west. Industrial complex. 3rd building. They're planning... His voice cracks. They're planning to take the baby the moment it's born. Use it against you. Kill Kael afterward because he's no longer useful. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My sister is alive, Riven says. I found her 3 hours ago. She's in protective custody in Texas. You've been working for nothing. Marcus's phone drops, hits the cabin floor. The sound echoes like a gunshot. Because his sister's alive. Safe. Which means every choice Marcus made, every betrayal, every compromise, every moment he chose fear over loyalty, was based on a lie Cassian fed him to keep him compliant. Kael would feel satisfaction if another contraction wasn't tearing through him like a forest fire. 3 minutes apart, Kael gasps. Contractions are 3 minutes apart. The baby's coming whether we want it to or not. The plane touches down. Rough landing. The kind that makes luggage shift and passengers grab armrests. Kael's body lurches and the baby drops lower, and suddenly there's pressure. Intense, undeniable pressure. That means transition. The final stage before delivery. The point where turning back stops being an option. I need to push, Kael says. Don't. Marcus scrambles to pick up his phone. Hold on. Just hold on until we get to a hospital. I can't hold on. Biology doesn't negotiate. Kael's hands grip the armrests hard enough his knuckles go white. This baby is coming in the next 10 minutes whether you're ready or not. The plane taxis to a private hangar. Through the window, Kael sees 2 black SUVs waiting, armed men standing beside them. Sheer professional, military-grade gear. The kind of security that doesn't exist for hostage exchanges, exists for executions. The cabin door opens. A man in tactical gear steps inside, takes one look at Kael and says, he's in labor. Observant, Kael grits out between contractions. Change of plans. We take him to the medical wing at the facility. Deliver there. Secure the infant immediately. No hospital? Marcus's voice cracks. He needs a hospital. He needs to deliver a healthy baby we can use. Everything else is secondary. The tactical officer gestures. Move him. Carefully. If he delivers in transit, you're responsible for keeping both alive until we reach the facility. 2 more men enter. They lift Kael like he's cargo, efficient, impersonal, trained to handle bodies that may or may not resist. Kael doesn't resist. Can't. And another contraction hits, and his world narrows to just pain and pressure and the certainty that his baby's about to be born into captivity. They carry him down the stairs. The Florida heat slams into him like a physical force. Humid, oppressive, nothing like the crisp Manhattan air he left 4 hours ago. Kael's loaded into the back of an SUV. Marcus climbs in beside him. The doors close. The vehicle pulls away from the airport. Kael's phone, still in his pocket, vibrates. He manages to pull it out with shaking hands. Text from Riven. I'm 10 minutes behind you. Hold on. 10 minutes. Kael's contractions are 90 seconds apart. The baby's not waiting 10 minutes. The facility looks like every abandoned industrial building in America. Corrugated metal, broken windows, a parking lot full of potholes and weeds pushing through cracked asphalt. Except this one has armed guards at every entrance and medical equipment visible through the grimy glass. They carry Kael inside through a side door, down a hallway that smells like disinfectant and rust, into a room that might have been an office once but now holds a hospital bed, an IV stand, and equipment that looks clean but outdated. like someone raided a medical surplus store and set up a field clinic for emergencies that require privacy. "Put him on the bed," someone orders. A woman's voice, clinical, detached. Kael's placed on thin sheets that crinkle like paper. The contractions are continuous now. No break between them. Just one rolling wave of pain that makes thinking impossible. The woman appears in his line of sight. Mid-40s. Scrubs that might be blue or gray or some color Kael can't process through the pain. She snaps on latex gloves. "I'm Dr. Chen. I'm going to check your dilation." She doesn't wait for permission. Her hands are professional, quick, invasive. "You're at 9 centimeters. Transition stage. The baby's coming in the next few minutes whether we're ready or not." "Hospital," Kael gasps. "Need hospital." "You're not going to a hospital. You're delivering here. I've done this before. 28 weeks is viable if we're fast." She looks at someone Kael can't see. "Get the incubator ready. And someone find out where Caldero is, because if he shows up mid-delivery, this gets complicated." Kael's hands grip the sheet. "Where's Marcus?" "Detained. He's no longer relevant to this operation." Dr. Chen positions herself at the foot of the bed. "When the next contraction hits, I need you to push. Can you do that?" Kael nods. The contraction builds like a wave, slow at first, then cresting, then crashing over him with force that obliterates everything except the need to push. "Good," Dr. Chen says. "Again, on the next one." Time stops meaning anything. There's just pain and pressure, and the sound of his own breathing, and Dr. Chen's voice giving orders that Kael follows, because his body's doing this whether his mind agrees or not. I see the head. One more push. Kael pushes. Something tears. Something gives. And then, a sound. Small. Weak. The cry of something that wasn't supposed to exist outside the womb yet but does because biology made a choice, fear forced into motion. "It's a boy," Dr. Chen says. Kael's vision blurs. "Let me see him." "Not yet." She moves quickly, efficiently, cutting the cord, wrapping the baby in something. Kael catches a glimpse. Tiny. Red, too small, covered in vernix and blood, and struggling to breathe through lungs that aren't ready. Then someone takes the baby away. "No." Kael tries to sit up. Can't. His body's still contracting, still delivering the placenta, still focused on the mechanics of birth, even though the thing he birthed is being carried out of the room. "Bring him back." "He needs the incubator," Dr. Chen says. Not unkindly, just factual. 28 weeks means respiratory support. We have equipment. He'll be fine. "Where are you taking him?" "Secure location. He's the leverage. You're just the incubator we no longer need." The words land like bullets. Kael's hands move to his empty stomach, soft now, deflated, still cramping from contractions but hollow in a way that makes him want to scream. "You can't take him." "We already did." "Doctor." Chen finishes cleaning up. Efficient, professional, like she's done this before. Like separating newborns from parents is just another Tuesday in her world. Someone will be in shortly to discuss next steps. She leaves. Kael lies on the paper sheets, bleeding, cramping, his body trying to recover from something it wasn't ready to do while his mind fractures around the realization that his baby, his son, is alive somewhere in this building, but not with him. Not safe, not protected, just leverage. The door opens. Cassian Morrow walks in. He looks exactly like his photographs. Tall, polished, wearing clothes that cost more than most people's monthly rent. His smile is the kind that belongs in boardrooms, not delivery rooms. Congratulations, Cassian says. You just became obsolete. Kael's voice comes out raw. Where's my baby? Safe. For now. As long as your mate cooperates. The moment Riven makes a move against my organization, the moment he tries to retaliate for this, Cassian gestures vaguely at Kael, at the blood-stained sheets, at the evidence of birth. Your son's life support gets disconnected. Simple as that. He's an infant. He's leverage. And leverage only works if the other side believes you'll follow through on threats. Cassian sits in the chair beside the bed. Casual. Like they're having coffee instead of negotiating over a newborn's life. Here's what happens now. You're going to call Riven. You're going to tell him the baby's healthy but premature. That he needs specialized care only we can provide. That any attempt to extract you both will result in medical complications we can't prevent. And then you're going to convince him to stand down. Dismantle his empire voluntarily, transfer assets, walk away. He'll never agree. Then your son dies, and you get to live knowing you could have saved him but chose your mate's pride instead. Cassian leans forward. I don't enjoy this, truly. But you made yourself a target the moment you got pregnant. You made your child a weapon the moment it was conceived. I'm just using the tools available. Kael's hands curl into fists despite the weakness flooding his limbs. Riven's going to kill you. Riven's going to negotiate, because that's what people do when they love something. They compromise. They surrender. They choose the life over the empire. Cassian stands. I'll give you 10 minutes to process. Then we make the call. He walks out, leaves Kael alone in a room that smells like blood and antiseptic and the metallic tang of fear. Kael's body hurts. Everything hurts. But worse than the physical pain is the empty ache in his chest where certainty used to live. Because he doesn't know if his son's breathing on his own or struggling. Doesn't know if the incubator's working or failing. Doesn't know if the next contraction will bring infection or hemorrhage or one of a dozen complications that kill omegas who deliver too early without proper medical care. His phone's gone, taken while Dr. Chen worked. But there's a landline on the wall. Old, probably for emergencies. Kael forces himself upright, ignoring the way his body screams, ignoring the blood soaking through the sheets. He stands, barely, and stumbles to the phone. Dials the only number he has memorized besides Riven's. Saurin answers on the first ring. Hello? It's me, Kael whispers. They took the baby. I delivered. 28 weeks. He's alive, but his voice breaks. I don't know where they're keeping him. I don't know if he's okay. I need you to tell Riven. He knows. He's coming. 5 minutes out. Saurin's voice is tight, scared. Kael, listen to me. The building you're in? It's rigged. Cassian's people have explosives planted. They're planning to detonate the moment Riven breaches. Kill everyone inside. Blame it on a gang war. They're not keeping you alive. They're keeping you long enough to make Riven walk into a trap. Kael's knees buckle. He catches himself on the wall. Where's the baby? Second floor, east wing, medical isolation room. But Kael, you can't walk. You just delivered. You're bleeding. If you try to move, I have to. Kael's already moving toward the door. Each step agony. Each breath a fight. I have to get to him before... The building shakes. Not from explosions. From the front entrance being blown open. Riven's here. And every armed guard in the facility is about to converge on the breach point, leaving the second floor exposed for exactly 90 seconds before someone realizes the real target isn't Kael. It's the baby. Kael stumbles into the hallway. Blood trails behind him. His vision tunnels. But he can hear it now. Footsteps above. Second floor, east wing. The cry of an infant who shouldn't be breathing on his own yet, but is, because 28 weeks is viable if you fight. And Kael's son is fighting. So Kael fights too. One step, another, stairs appear. He climbs them using the railing as a crutch, leaving bloody handprints on metal that's cold enough to burn. The second floor hallway stretches forever. Doors, unnumbered, 201, 202, 203. The infant's cry gets louder. The door's locked. Kael throws his shoulder against it. Once, twice. The third time it gives, cheap lock, flimsy frame, and he falls into a room that smells like plastic and sanitizer and new life. The incubator sits in the corner. Transparent, glowing. Inside, a baby. His baby. Red-faced, tiny fists clenched, crying despite tubes in his nose and sensors taped to his chest. Kael stumbles forward, opens the incubator with shaking hands. The sensors start beeping, alarms triggered by disconnection, but he doesn't care. He lifts his son, carefully, terrified of breaking something that's already so fragile. The baby stops crying, opens his eyes, silver gray, like Kael's. "I've got you," Kael whispers. "I've got you." The building shakes again, louder this time, closer. Kael wraps his son in the blanket from the incubator, holds him against his chest, turns toward the door, and finds himself face to face with Dr. Chen. She's holding a syringe. "I'm sorry," she says, "but you're not leaving with that baby." The syringe catches light from the hallway fluorescence. Clear liquid, professional grip, the kind of calm that comes from medical training and moral compromise. Dr. Chen doesn't move closer, doesn't need to. She's blocking the only exit, and Kael's holding a newborn with tubes still trailing from his tiny nose, leaving bloody footprints on linoleum, barely standing through sheer will. "Put the baby back in the incubator," Dr. Chen says. "He needs respiratory support. You're going to kill him if you try to run. You were going to let them use him." Kael's voice shakes, but his grip on his son doesn't. You delivered him knowing they'd take him, knowing they'd hurt him, knowing... I delivered him to save his life. 28 weeks without proper intervention means death. I gave him a chance. Her hand tightens around the syringe. But that chance only exists if he stays in medical care. Not in your arms. Not running through a building that's about to become a war zone. Put him back. The baby whimpers. Small sound. Barely audible over the distant gunfire that's getting less distant by the second. Kael takes a step backward, toward the window. It's second floor. Survivable if you're not bleeding from childbirth and holding a premature infant. Not survivable if you are. "There's nowhere to go," Dr. Chen says. The building's surrounded. Cassian's men outside. Caldero's men coming in. You're trapped between two armies and you just gave birth. You can barely walk. You think you can climb out a window? Protect that baby while falling 2 stories? He needs an incubator. He needs medical support. He needs... The door explodes inward. Not metaphorically. Riven kicks it off its hinges with enough force the metal frame bends. He's covered in blood that probably isn't his, wearing tactical gear instead of Tom Ford, and holding a weapon that's been fired enough times the barrel's still hot. His eyes find Kael first, then the baby, then Dr. Chen. Move away from them, Riven says, voice calm, absolutely terrifying in its calm. Dr. Chen doesn't move. The infant needs medical care. The infant needs to be anywhere except here. Riven steps into the room. There are explosives planted in the basement. Cassian's planning to detonate in the next 3 minutes. So you have two choices. Move or get removed. Dr. Chen looks at the syringe in her hand, then at Kael, then at the baby struggling to breathe against his father's chest. She lowers the syringe. There's an ambulance 2 blocks away. I called them 20 minutes ago when I realized what Cassian was planning. They're waiting. But you need to move now. She looks at Kael. I'm sorry. For everything. But I don't kill children. Not even for money. Riven doesn't thank her. Just moves to Kael, one arm wrapping around his mate's waist because Kael's swaying now. Blood loss and shock and adrenaline crash all hitting at once. Can you walk? Riven asks. No. Kael's voice comes out thread thin. But I'm going to anyway. They move into the hallway. Riven supporting most of Kael's weight, Suk and Kael clutching their son against his chest like a shield. Every step leaves blood. Every breath hurts. The baby's quiet now. Too quiet. Just small movements against Kael's skin that might be breathing or might be dying or might be something in between. The stairs are impossible. Kael makes it down 3 before his legs give out completely. Riven catches him, adjusts his grip. I'm carrying you. The baby! I've got you both. Riven lifts them, Kael in one arm, positioned so the baby stays secure against Kael's chest, weapon in his other hand. It shouldn't be possible. But Riven's been doing impossible things for years. This is just one more. They reach the first floor. The front entrance is chaos. Cassian's men retreating, Riven's team advancing, the kind of tactical operation that's over before most people realize it started. Marcus is there, sitting against a wall with his hands zip-tied, face bruised, looking like a man who's given up. Riven doesn't stop, just keeps moving toward the back exit where an SUV waits, engine running, Saurin behind the wheel. Hospital, Riven orders. Fastest route. On it. Saurin peels away from the building the moment they're inside. Kael looks down at his son. The baby's eyes are closed now, chest moving, barely, in shallow breaths that don't look right, don't sound right. He's not breathing enough, Kael whispers. Something's wrong. Riven's already on his phone. I need a NICU team ready. Premature infant, 28 weeks, respiratory distress, born outside hospital setting 30 minutes ago. We're 5 minutes out. Pause. I don't care about paperwork. Save the child first. He hangs up. Looks at Kael with an expression that might be fear if Riven allowed himself to feel fear. He's going to be okay. We're almost there. Just hold on. Kael holds on, counts his son's breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. The pauses between get longer. Drive faster, Riven says. Saurin floors it. The hospital comes into view. Tall, clean, everything the facility wasn't. An emergency team waits at the entrance. They take the baby the moment the SUV stops. Efficient, professional. Someone wraps Kael in a blanket. Someone else starts an IV. The world becomes a blur of white coats and rapid questions, and the sound of his son crying, weak but present. Somewhere down a hallway Kael can't follow, because his body's decided it's done fighting. Stay with me. Riven's voice cuts through the fog. Kael, stay awake. Tired? Kael mumbles. I know, but you don't get to leave. Not yet. Not after everything. Riven's hand grips his. The baby's alive. You're alive. We made it. So stay. Kael tries. His vision goes dark anyway. When he wakes up, the first thing he sees is white ceiling tiles. The second thing is Riven, sitting beside a hospital bed, still wearing tactical gear stained with blood and dirt and evidence of violence. The baby? Kael's voice cracks. Stable. NICU. Breathing support but improving. They're saying if he maintains this trajectory, he'll be off respiratory assistance in 2 weeks. Home in 4. Riven's hand finds Kael's. You delivered a fighter. Relief hits so hard Kael starts crying. Can't stop. Just lies there sobbing while Riven holds his hand and doesn't tell him to be strong or calm down or any of the useless things people say when emotions overflow. Cassian? Kael finally asks. Dead. Building collapsed 12 minutes after we left. He was still inside, trying to detonate the explosives manually when his remote trigger failed. Turns out he didn't account for his own people wanting him dead more than they wanted us dead. Someone cut the wires. Someone inside his organization. We're still tracking down who. Marcus? In custody. Cooperating. His sister's testimony will help dismantle what's left of Cassian's network. He'll serve time but not life. I made a deal. Riven's expression doesn't change. Because you were right. He chose wrong, but he tried to choose right at the end. That counts for something. Kael closes his eyes. I thought we were going to die. We almost did, several times. But we didn't. Riven leans closer. Because you're stubborn, and our son inherited that stubbornness, and I'm too invested in this family to let anything destroy it. So we survived. All 3 of us. A nurse enters, checks Kael's vitals, adjusts his IV. Your son's awake if you want to see him. We can bring him up in the mobile incubator for a few minutes. Skin-to-skin contact helps premature infants regulate. Kael nods. Can't speak through the emotion choking his throat. 10 minutes later, they wheel in a plastic box containing a baby who looks impossibly small against white sheets. Tubes everywhere. Monitors beeping. But his eyes are open. Silver gray. Alert. The nurse shows Kael how to hold him, carefully supporting his head, letting his bare chest provide warmth the incubator can't. The baby's tiny hand wraps around Kael's finger. He knows you, the nurse says softly. He's been listening to your heartbeat for 7 months. He knows he's safe. Riven stands at the bedside, looking down at his mate and his son, and for the first time since this started, his expression cracks. Not into fear, into something that might be hope. What do we name him? Kael asks. Riven's quiet for a moment. Then, Zion. It means sanctuary. Kael tests the name. Zion. A place of safety after wandering. A promise that protection isn't just about power, but about creating space where vulnerable things can grow strong. Zion Caldero, Kael says. I like it. The baby, Zion, makes a small sound. Content. Safe. And Kael realizes that despite everything, the betrayal, the premature birth, the facility, the blood, the fear, they won. Not because they defeated Cassian, because they survived him. But as Kael lies there holding his son, Riven's phone buzzes. He checks it. His expression goes carefully neutral. What? Kael asks. Nothing urgent. But Riven's voice carries an edge. Tell me. Riven shows him the screen. A message from an unknown number. Congratulations on the baby. Cassian wasn't working alone. See you soon. The monitors beep steadily. Zion breathes. And somewhere out there, another threat is already forming. 3 weeks pass in a blur of NICU visits and security briefings, and Kael learning how to be a parent to a baby who weighs less than 4 pounds and breathes through a tube. Zion improves daily, gains weight, breathes longer, stretches without assistance. The doctors talk about discharge dates and home care plans, and all the normal things that should feel normal but don't, because Kael still sees armed guards outside his hospital room, and Riven still disappears for hours to handle threats Kael's not allowed to know about. The penthouse gets new security, new staff, new everything. Terrence vanishes. Protective custody, witness protection, something. Kael stops asking. Some questions don't have answers civilians are meant to hear. Marcus serves his sentence in a facility Kael can't name. His sister sends a card. Handwritten, apologetic. Kael burns it without reading past the first line. Some apologies don't deserve reception. And the message, the one that arrived minutes after Zion's first cuddle, remains unsolved. Cassian wasn't working alone. Riven's people trace digital footprints across 3 states and 2 countries. They find shell companies in California, encrypted communications routed through Texas, financial transfers that originated in Illinois before Cassian ever made his move. Someone funded the operation. Someone bigger. Someone still active. Kael learns this on a Tuesday afternoon while sitting in the NICU, watching Zion sleep in his incubator. Riven appears in the doorway wearing the kind of expression that means bad news. "We found the source," Riven says without preamble. "The person who funded Cassian, who knew about the pregnancy before we made it public, who's been planning this operation for months." Kael's hand presses against the incubator glass. "Who?" "Adrian Vale." The name lands like a physical blow. Vale. Saurin's last name. But Adrian, Saurin's father? Kael's voice comes out flat. "His father's been dead for 12 years. That's what we were told. That's what Imani claimed when she started working for us. That's what every background check confirmed." Riven moves closer. "But Adrian Vale isn't dead. He's been operating under aliases for over a decade. He faked his death to escape gambling debts in New Jersey, rebuilt himself in Florida as a logistics consultant. That's where he met Cassian. That's where he learned about our operation. And that's where he decided his son, the boy we took in, the kid we helped, the one you treated like family, would make perfect leverage." Kael's vision tunnels. Saurin knew. No. Adrian kept him in the dark, used Imani's employment as reconnaissance, waited for the right opportunity. When you got pregnant, when the vulnerability became obvious, he saw his chance. He approached Cassian, funded the entire operation, and he's been watching from a distance while we destroyed his partner and thought we'd won. Where's Saurin now? Protective custody. He's safe. But Adrian sent messages. He wants to meet. Claims he has information about other players in the syndicate who are compromised. Claims he'll trade intel for immunity and a chance to see his son. Riven's jaw tightens. It's bait. Obviously. But it's bait we might have to take. Because if there are more compromised players, if Adrian's telling the truth about other infiltrations, we can't ignore it. Not with you and Zion still vulnerable. Kael looks at his son. Still sleeping. Still fighting. Still too small to be anyone's target, but somehow at the center of a war he didn't choose. "What do you want to do?" Kael asks. "I want to kill Adrian Vale and everyone who helped him. But that doesn't solve the infiltration problem. That doesn't tell us who else is compromised. So," Riven's hand rests on Kael's shoulder, "I'm going to meet him. Controlled environment. My terms. Full security. And I'm going to extract every name, every connection, every piece of information he has. Then I'm going to decide if he lives. When? Tomorrow. Maryland Warehouse District. Same area where this started. Full circle. Riven pauses. I want you and Zion somewhere else. Somewhere Adrian doesn't know about. Just until this is resolved. No. Kael stands. His body still aches, delivery wounds healing slowly. But he's stronger now. We don't separate. Not again. That's what they want. That's how they win. By making us think distance equals safety. But safety isn't about distance. It's about staying together. You're still recovering. And I'll keep recovering. But I do it where you are. Where Zion is. As a family. That's non-negotiable. Riven studies his mate's face. The determination there. The exhaustion. The absolute refusal to be protected away from the center of his own life. Okay, Riven says finally. But you stay in the vehicle. Armored SUV guards. If anything goes wrong, they extract you immediately. Agreed? Agreed. The next day, they drive to Maryland. Zion comes with them, still tiny, still needing periodic breathing treatments, but stable enough for transport. The medical team briefs them on emergency protocols. The security team runs through extraction scenarios. Everyone acts like this is normal. Routine. Just another Tuesday for a syndicate family navigating threats that would destroy most people. The warehouse appears at dusk. Same building, same broken windows. But this time, there's no ambush waiting. Just Adrian Vale standing in the empty lot. Hands visible. Alone. He looks like Saurin. Same eyes, same bone structure, but older. Harder. The kind of hard that comes from choices that compound over years until you can't remember who you were before the compromises started. Riven exits the SUV. Kael stays inside with Zion, watching through bulletproof glass. The conversation happens 30 feet away, too far to hear. But Kael can read body language, can see Adrian talking fast, gesturing, offering information like currency. Can see Riven listening with the stillness of a predator, deciding if prey is useful or just loudly dying. 10 minutes pass. Adrian pulls out a tablet, shows something. Riven's expression doesn't change, but his posture shifts. Barely perceptible, but Kael notices. That's the stance Riven takes when something unexpected proves accurate. Adrian's telling the truth. About what, Kael doesn't know. But it's enough to keep him alive for another 10 minutes of conversation. Then Riven makes a call. Short, one sentence, hangs up. 2 minutes later, 3 vehicles arrive. Federal markings. Adrian's face goes pale. He steps backward, tries to run. Riven doesn't stop him. Just watches as federal agents surround Adrian Vale and read him rights that won't save him from the information he just traded. Because Adrian didn't trade for immunity. He traded for witness protection from someone worse than Riven. The person Adrian exposed wasn't just a compromised syndicate player. It was a federal agent. Someone with access to investigation files, surveillance records, family protection details. Someone who's been feeding information to rival organizations for 3 years. Someone who knows exactly where Kael and Zion are. Right now, in this warehouse parking lot. Riven's phone rings. He answers, listens. His face drains of color. He runs toward the SUV. Drive! Riven shouts before he even reaches the door. Now! The driver doesn't hesitate. Engine roars. Tires spin. But they're too late. The sniper shot comes from a building 200 yards away. Perfect angle. Perfect timing. The bullet hits the SUV's front tire, and the vehicle lurches. Doesn't flip, armored too well for that, but spins hard enough Kael's thrown against the door. Zion's car seat jerks. The baby screams. Tiny lungs that weren't supposed to be breathing outside the womb, yet now screaming in terror because his short life already knows danger. The SUV stops. Riven's at the door in seconds, pulling it open. We need to move. There's a second vehicle. Gunfire erupts. Not at them. At the federal vehicles taking Adrian, covering fire, creating chaos, giving the sniper time to relocate. Kael unbuckles Zion's car seat, holds it against his chest. Where? Building across the street. 3 floors. I've got people moving, but we have maybe 60 seconds before... A second shot. This one hits the SUV's back window. Bulletproof glass cracks, but holds. Barely. Riven makes a choice. He lifts Kael, still holding Zion's car seat, and runs. Not toward cover, toward the building where the sniper's positioned. Because the one place a sniper can't shoot is directly below their position. Dead zone. Architectural certainty. They reach the building entrance. Riven kicks it open. Inside smells like mold and abandonment. Stares ahead. He takes them 3 at a time, still carrying Kael and Zion, weapon drawn in his free hand. 3rd floor. The sniper's position should be here. Should be empty. Just an open window. Rifle abandoned, shell casings on the floor. The sniper's gone. Riven sets Kael down, checks the window, checks the angles. They had an exit planned, knew we'd come up. Use this as misdirection. Misdirection from what? Riven's phone buzzes. Text from his security team. Federal agent in custody. Confession obtained. She says there's one more. One more what? Kael asks. One more person compromised. Someone in my inner circle. Someone Adrian didn't know about because they're higher level than Adrian ever reached. Riven's voice goes cold. Someone who's been waiting for exactly this moment. When I'm separated from my team. When you and Zion are exposed. When... Footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate. Someone's coming up. Riven positions himself between Kael and the stairwell door. Stay behind me. The door opens. Saurin walks through, holding a gun, pointed at Riven. I'm sorry, Saurin says, voice shaking. But my father gave me a choice. Do this, or watch my mother die. And I already lost him once. I can't lose her too. The gun trembles in Saurin's hands. He's crying, silently. The kind of crying that happens when your body's trying to process choices that shouldn't exist. 22 years old, wearing the same Target hoodie from 3 weeks ago. Looking like a kid who wandered into the wrong building and can't find the exit. Except he's holding a weapon. And that weapon's pointed at the only reason Kael and Zion are still alive. Put it down, Riven says. Calm. Always calm. Like he's negotiating a business deal, instead of staring down a boy he helped feed and clothe and protect. Saurin, look at me. Put the gun down. I can't. Saurin's voice cracks. They have my mom. They showed me proof, photos, her tied up, beaten. They said if I don't... He can't finish. Just stands there shaking, gun wavering, clearly never having held a weapon before tonight. Your mom's safe, Riven says. We extracted her 6 hours ago. She's in protective custody. New identity. New location. She's safe, Saurin. They lied to you. Saurin's face crumples. You're lying. Call her. Riven slowly pulls out his phone, keeps his other hand visible, non-threatening. Speed dial 3. It'll connect to her secure line. Call her, verify, because I'm not lying. Your father is. He's been lying to you about everything. About being dead. About caring. About this whole operation. He used you. Just like he used Imani. Just like he's using that gun you're holding to make you think you have to choose between family and morality. But you don't. Because your real family, the one that matters, is already safe. Saurin's hand reaches for the phone, takes it, dials with shaking fingers. The phone rings twice. Saurin? Imani's voice comes through the speaker, thick with emotion. Baby, is that you? Mom? Saurin nearly drops the gun. They told me you were... I'm safe, mister. Caldero's people got me out yesterday. Took me somewhere your father can't reach. I tried to call, but they said you were in protective custody too. That they'd contact you when... Her voice breaks. Baby, what did they make you do? The gun lowers. Saurin sinks to his knees, still holding the phone, crying openly now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dad said if I didn't help, if I didn't... He showed me pictures. Doctored, Imani says. All lies. Your father's been manipulating you since the day he reappeared. And I should have told you sooner. Should have warned you that the man he became isn't the man I married. But I thought if I just kept you away from him, kept you focused on school and work and normal life. She's crying too now. I'm sorry. I failed you. I should have protected you better. You did protect me. You always did. Saurin looks up at Riven. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they already saved her. Dad called 2 hours ago. Said it was now or never. Said... He stops. He's still here. Somewhere in this building. He told me to separate you from your security. To bring you up here. And then... Riven's already moving. How many people does he have? 3. All armed. Waiting on the second floor. Saurin stands, hands up, surrendering the gun. I'm sorry. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but it's a start. Riven takes the weapon, checks it, unloaded. Adrian gave his son an empty gun, sent him to threaten a syndicate boss with an unloaded weapon, ensuring that if Saurin succeeded, Riven would kill him. If Saurin failed, Adrian would have justification to eliminate his own son as a liability. Either way, Adrian never planned for Saurin to survive tonight. Stay here with them, Riven tells Saurin. Guard the door. Anyone comes up those stairs who's not my people, you yell. Understood? Saurin nods. Riven looks at Kael. I'll be back. You better be. Kael adjusts his grip on Zion's car seat. The baby's quiet now, eyes open, watching, taking in the world with an awareness that seems impossible for 4 weeks old. But premature babies develop differently, fight differently. Maybe Zion already understands that survival means paying attention. Riven disappears down the stairwell. Kael sits against the wall, Zion between his legs, Saurin guarding the door with an empty gun and a broken expression. I really didn't know, Saurin says after a minute of silence. About my dad, about any of it. I thought he was dead. I thought... He stops. How do you forgive yourself for almost killing people you care about? You don't, Kael says. Not immediately. You carry it. You let it reshape you. You use it as proof that choices matter. And then maybe years from now, you wake up one morning and realize the weight's lighter. Not gone. Just lighter. Because you spent all that time choosing better. Gunfire below. Muffled by concrete but unmistakable. 3 shots. Return fire. Then silence. Zion doesn't cry. Just watches Kael with silver-gray eyes that reflect ceiling lights like mirrors. Footsteps on the stairs. Slow, ascending. Saurin raises the empty gun, hands shaking. Who's there? It's handled. Riven appears in the doorway. No visible injuries. but there's blood on his tactical gear that wasn't there before. Adrian's in custody. His men are down. Federal agents are sweeping the building. We're clear. Kael exhales, feels tension drain from muscles he didn't know were locked. Is it over? For now. Riven extends his hand, helps Kael stand. There's always another threat, another rival, another person who thinks they can exploit vulnerability for power. But tonight we won. Your son's safe. You're safe. And everyone who tried to use your family as leverage is either dead or in custody. What happens to Saurin? Riven looks at the kid, still holding an empty gun, still looking like he might shatter. He testifies, provides evidence against his father. Then he gets a fresh start. New identity if he wants it. College tuition covered. A chance to become someone who's not defined by his father's choices. And Adrian? Life sentence. Federal prison. No parole. No contact with anyone from his old life. He traded information to save himself, but the information wasn't enough to outweigh attempted murder of a federal agent, conspiracy, kidnapping, and about 15 other charges. Riven's expression stays neutral. He'll die in prison, alone, forgotten. That's the punishment. They leave the building. Outside, federal vehicles crowd the lot. Agents everywhere. Crime scene tape. The machinery of justice processing what's left of Adrian Vale's operation. The drive back to Manhattan takes 2 hours. Zion sleeps the whole way. Kael watches his son breathe. Steady now, no tubes, no monitors, just a tiny human who's survived more in 4 weeks than most people face in a lifetime. What do we tell him? Kael asks. When he's older, when he asks about all this. The truth, Riven says, that he was born into danger, that people tried to use him, that he survived because his parents refused to let threats determine the shape of their family. And that strength isn't about dominance, it's about protection, about choosing who stands beside you and defending that choice with everything you have. They reach the penthouse. New security team at every entrance. New protocols. New certainty that nothing's truly certain, but you adapt anyway. Dr. Okonkwo waits in the living room. House call. She checks Zion with efficient hands and a satisfied expression. He's thriving. Weight's good. Breathing's perfect. No signs of developmental delays. You've got a healthy baby who happens to have been born 8 weeks early. Happens more than people think. He'll be fine. When can he come off all monitoring? Kael asks. He's already off monitoring. Has been for a week. You're just used to watching screens. She smiles. Welcome to regular parenting. It's terrifying but normal. Congratulations. She leaves. Kael sits on the couch. The same couch where this started 4 weeks ago with an envelope and a photograph and a choice between truth and protection. Riven sits beside him. Regret anything? No. Kael doesn't hesitate. I'd do it all again. Every choice, every risk, because it led here. To us. To him. He looks down at Zion sleeping in his arms. To proof that love isn't weakness. It's just a different kind of strength. 3 months later, Zion's off all medical restrictions, hitting developmental milestones, growing, thriving, the kind of healthy that makes doctors smile and take credit for intervention that mostly came down to a baby who refused to stop fighting. Saurin testifies. His father goes to prison. Saurin accepts Riven's offer. New identity, new city, college enrollment in California. He sends a card at Christmas. Handwritten. Grateful. Kael keeps it on the fridge. Some stories deserve evidence of second chances. Marcus serves 18 months. gets early release for cooperation, moves to Texas, starts working as a security consultant for legitimate businesses. His sister visits monthly. Sometimes redemption looks like rebuilding with smaller pieces. The syndicate stabilizes. Rivals realize that targeting Riven Caldero's family is an extinction-level mistake. Internal security gets overhauled. New protocols, new faces, new understanding that power's only sustainable if the people wielding it remember what they're protecting. And on a Tuesday morning, 6 months after everything ended, Kael sits in the penthouse living room, watching Zion play on a blanket, reaching for toys he can almost grasp, making sounds that almost sound like words. Riven walks in from his office. Tom Ford suit, Hermes tie. Looking every inch the businessman instead of the syndicate boss who orchestrated the downfall of multiple criminal operations. "Everything okay?" Kael asks. "Everything's good. California expansion's on track. Illinois partnerships are solid. Texas operations just posted record profits." He sits beside Kael, reaches down to let Zion grab his finger. Turns out running an empire's easier when you're not constantly defending against internal threats. Who would have thought? They watch their son, 6 months old now. Silver-gray eyes that shift between Kael and Riven like he's cataloging faces for future reference. The pediatrician says he's advanced for his age, meeting milestones early, compensating for the premature start by developing faster than expected. "Think he'll remember any of this?" Kael asks. "When he's older, think he'll know how his life started?" "No," Riven says, "and that's better. He doesn't need to carry what we carried. He just needs to grow up knowing he's loved, protected, safe. That's the whole point of everything we did." Zion makes a sound, almost a laugh. Definitely joy. And Kael realizes Riven's right. This isn't a story about mafia politics or dangerous pregnancies or elaborate schemes. It's a story about who protects the protector, who stands guard when the alpha leaves, who defines strength, domination, or restraint. And the answer's simple. Family protects family. Not because of hierarchy or dominance or traditional power structures, but because love makes you willing to fight differently, strategically, with more to lose and therefore more reason to win. Kael leans against Riven's shoulder. "We did good. We did great." Riven's arm wraps around him, solid, certain, the same certainty that dismantled threats and rebuilt empires and protected a premature baby through impossible odds. Outside the windows, Manhattan glitters. 32 stories below, life continues. People unaware that above them, a family exists that survived what should have destroyed them. Most people will never know how close this empire came to collapse. And that's exactly why it still stands. Not because of force, because of choices. Because somewhere between the envelope and the hospital and the warehouse and the second chances, Riven Caldero learned what every alpha eventually learns. True power isn't about controlling everything. It's about protecting the things that matter when everything else tries to take them away. Zion reaches for a toy, grabs it, brings it to his mouth like babies do, and in that simple gesture, reach, grasp, explore, exists proof that survival isn't just about making it through the storm. It's about who you become after. The end. Thank you for watching this journey unfold. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently about strength and family, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights inspire others and help build a community that values storytelling that matters. Until next time, remember, The strongest protection doesn't announce itself. It simply refuses to let the people it loves become casualties of other people's wars.